Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, am I really living the life I was meant to? Welcome to Female Fluence, where we stop waiting for permission and start remembering our power. I am Pearl Mashur, a mom, educator, and a women's empowerment coach. And this is a space for honest conversations about growth, purpose, and becoming who you truly are. Here, we wake up to ourselves. We release the guilt, reclaim our confidence, and rise with grace, truth, and a little bit of fire. If something in you is whispering, there's more, take the self-reflection quiz at femalefluence.com and see where you are in your journey. Because you're not here to play small, you're here to rise fully. Today, we're diving into a conversation that every woman needs to hear. Because here's the truth. Your body is not broken and your symptoms are not random. They're data. For too long, we've been conditioned to believe there's a quick fix for every symptom. But true wellness isn't about quick fixes. It's about curiosity, personalization, and getting to the root cause. Our health touches everything, our confidence, our clarity, our sense of worth. When we ignore fatigue, brain fog, or mood swings, we're actually ignoring powerful signals that our bodies are sending us. In this episode, we're going to explore how to break free from burnout, shift from hustle mode into sustainable wellness, and reclaim the energy to show up fully and powerfully in every area of life. Because when you understand your symptoms as messages, not annoyances, you actually gain the power to decode them, find answers, and finally begin to heal at the root. My guest today is Dr. Lahana Vigliano, a board certified clinical nutritionist and the CEO and founder of Nuvitru Wellness, a private practice in Texas that helps women imbalance hormones and improve digestion using foods as medicine. With a bachelor's in nutrition science, a master's in human nutrition and functional medicine, and a doctorate in clinical nutrition. Wow, that's a lot of degrees. Lahana brings both expertise and empathy to her work. She is deeply passionate about helping women uncover the root cause of their symptoms, especially when they felt dismissed by conventional care. Dr. Lahana, thank you so much for being on Female Fluence. I'm very excited about our conversation today.
I am so excited. Thank you for the amazing introduction.
Very good. So let's see, let's talk about, I know you've had a different journey and you were on a different route, but what was a pivotal moment that shaped your drive and determination, the one that kind of pushed you to not only take full ownership over your health, but also to pursue a higher education and create a better life for your family?
Yeah, I think it was being in the path that I always wanted to be in. So I've been wanting to be like a doctor. Obviously, when you're younger, we all just know like medical doctor. And so that's something that I always said and wanted to achieve, like until I was actually like in more of the pre-med program. And then I realized that what is being taught is more of a pill for an ill. And that didn't, I think, intuitively sit well with me because I felt like there was something more to it of understanding, well, if someone comes in for diabetes, it's more than just here's the medication. It's like, well, why? Like, why did that even start to begin with? And so I felt like there was more to it than pharmaceuticals, which, there's parts of that degree program I loved. Like, I always will love like, well, biochem is questionable if I love that, but anatomy and physiology and how the bio, I love that. I love that. But it was more so of the treatment that is given. And again, conventional is very driven on pharmaceuticals and surgery if needed. So I also was a young mom. So I had my son when I was 17, 18 years old. And so I think being a mom changes the way that we think and the things that we want in life. It just gives us a whole new perspective. So I think that in combination with what I was learning, I just felt kind of up in arms of like what was I doing? And that's really what made me sit and rethink of like, okay, I know more than what I did when I was 5. Is this still the route I want to go? Do I want to change? Do I want to transition? And I somehow just found nutrition. There's a couple classes, but I always say that like I was never sold though, even just doing a couple classes, but it was like a seed that was planted and I started to see like I could see where this is really important. And then I just kind of took it from there and obviously loved it and took it all the way. So I think it was just, yeah, being a young mom and wanting more than what I was being taught was like the way of health. I also am like a little bit of a control person. And I know God absolutely laughs at me at that because I know I really have no control in life, but it's fine. I like to think that I do. And so I also had that inside me of like, I don't want to just be like, oh, you just get old and you get sick. There's nothing you can do. I felt like I needed more control of that. I'm like, I swear there's things that we can be doing to prevent chronic illness. And I know we're all going to get old and die, but I'm like, how can we live to like the best of our ability until we do pass, right? And so I think there was a desire of controlling more in my life and my health.
I'm really inspired by your knowledge and what you're doing for all of us women. So thank you.
Yeah.
Now I know you had an unfortunate experience of watching your mother battle chronic illness and ultimately losing her. That was another life-altering chapter in your story. How did that experience deepen your commitment to prevention and functional wellness, especially in the work that you do for all of us?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. I mean, there was the first phase of like anger because there was like, wow, this was so preventable. And, knowing what I know, I had to like go through that of frustration. But I really think something that through that process, I think a lot of women, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner because we're busy. We have all these things. We have our kids come first, or, that's just kind of the mentality that a lot of us have, especially like women who are having businesses, right? Like your business, your clients, like all these things come before you. And I know looking back, I'm like, oh, my mom was so like that. She was like, kids come first, all that. So she did put herself last. I also know that she grew up in a generation that didn't have as much education as we do now. We have social media, we have so many more things, but it really put into perspective that the mindset of putting yourself last and putting everyone before you. So, like, I'll work out if I get to it, I'll eat if I get to it. I'll do this if I get to it. And at the end of the day, where does the time go? You don't have time. So you're like, I'll try again tomorrow. And it's the same thing. And then I realized that my mom, while she put herself she put us before her. At the end of the day, when it came to the end of her life, it really was such a selfish thing because at the end of the day, now I am worried. Now I have anxiety. Now I have to worry about you and watch you suffer, which is honestly, the death is not even the hard part. I think it's like watching your loved ones suffer. And so if she took care of herself, I will say she definitely has like the very typical unhealthy lifestyle. Everything from like smoking when she was 16 to like, I mean, everything. She never even really took care of herself like in any capacity.
How
And
old
so
was she when she passed
she
away?
was 70 or 71
And how long ago was that? Was
this summer. So 4 months
pretty,
ago.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
So
thank
sorry.
you. So that was just something I realized. I'm like, wow, if she just filled up her cup and took care of her body, yeah, maybe in the moment it seemed like she put herself first, but wow, would it be so different for future me? And I wouldn't like I'm so jealous when I see my friends and their parents are running around their grandkids, they're so healthy, and I'm like, that's what I desire to be. So I feel like it was just a mindset shift and a little kick in the pants of being letting women know to like please take care of yourself now. I know you think you're doing the right thing putting yourself last, but you're really not, and you're just delaying putting that burden on your kids.
I really love what you just said. I mean, that was just like an aha moment. It's like, as moms, that's what we do. We keep saying, "Oh, I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to sacrifice." But re in reality, all those sacrifices that you're making and putting yourself last, there's a really good chance that it's going to affect your future in the long
Yeah.
run. So then when your children need you to be there when they're adults or you have your grandkids, you're you're not going to be there. You're going to miss out. And
Yeah.
then it's really not sacrificing for them because they're losing out. So you made such a
Yeah.
good point about that. When you think about it, it's like, okay, the shift of that mindset, it's like, no, I'm going to take care of myself
Yep.
now because I want to be that healthy grandmother in the future so that I'm there and I can, be part of
Yes.
my kids' lives, be part of my grandkids' lives. So that's a great way to really help kind of that old mindset to become
Yeah.
the future mindset.
Yes,
That's
100%.
what that's what been role model for us. That's what we know. That's what we've seen. It's like the generations, the grandmother, the great grandmother. So now it's our job to make sure that our kids, our daughters
Yes.
know different.
Yes, 100%. And I also think too that we are a role model for our children. Our children pick up more of what is caught than what is taught, right? And so if I am not putting myself, if she doesn't see me put myself first and I'm just overworked and she never sees me rest, how can I expect her to rest? And I think we would all agree that we absolutely don't want our kids to be anxious. We don't want them run ragged. We don't want them burn out, right? So why would I expect her to do that though if she's not seeing me do it? And so she's 11 now. And so she knows when we chill, we chill. And we're reading books and we're watching shows and I just want her to know what rest actually is. And it starts with me and what I am and what I do.
Yes, they're watching our every move and role modeling that behavior is key.
Yeah.
So now I know I've heard you talk a lot about if we don't have the fuel, we simply cannot function, right? And eating enough
Mm.
is really the key. And most of us, a lot of us as women are bad about remembering or making sure, or we're worried about our figure and all of this stuff. So, can you discuss why lunch is so crucial for maintaining our energy and focus throughout the day, as well as what about eating first thing in the morning as your breakfast? And I have to tell you, Lahana, I'm guilty because, and okay, I'm just gonna like confess right up because I know you're gonna be like, that's not right, that's not right. So. Before, in my younger years, I would be starving when I got up in the morning. For some reason, I don't know what has
That's a
happened
good
with my
thing.
body, my schedule, or maybe because I like to go work out in the morning, so I don't eat. I just have like a glass of like a hot water with lemon and ginger and my probiotics at 6 in the morning. Then I go
Yeah.
do my workout, do everything usually around 10:30, 11. I have my first cup of coffee and I have my breakfast. So I know that's not like the first thing in the morning. And then what happens is it puts a shift. So I am not really hungry for like lunch. So then at 3 o'clock, when the crash time is about to start, I'll do like almonds, a yogurt, maybe I'll make myself a smoothie. So I'm really not having like two huge meals, I guess. So am I doing this right or wrong? But I feel like my body, and I know you said this because I've been, listening to your stuff that you train your body, so that's all your body knows. So then we go around saying,
Yeah.
well, my body doesn't like to eat at that time. It's because I've trained my body, which is probably true.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
okay, it's on
Yeah.
you.
I know, no, it is. This is like probably the biggest problem that I see is that women just aren't simply eating enough. I will blame a little bit of diet culture because I know so much of it is ingrained from what we were taught. And it started honestly in the 70s and the 80s. And then we, maybe have watched our parents also go through that and all that. So I know that's where it's coming from, especially if there's weight loss, but fueling your body is honestly everything that you need from, of course, the basics of your heart beating, your lungs working, your brain working, just like the basics of you being alive. But I always say, like, how can we expect to feel so good and feel so optimal with running low on fuel? And I know this analogy is so cliche, but when we put gas in the car, we do that to keep the car running. And so food is the same thing for us. It's just gas for us and it's what to keep us running and not just like surviving, but also just thriving and feeling optimal. And so it is so funny when they're like, I am like barely putting fuel, but why am I so tired? Or why am I not like seizing the day and have all this energy? Why am I slumping in the afternoon? I'm like, you don't have a lot of gas. So all the gas that you put in, if it's so minimal, it's just going to the things that need support to keep you alive. Brain, heart, lungs, those kind of things. Everything else will get pushed back. So things that are important to us, but not important to survival, things like your hair, things like how much weight you hold on to. If your body is feeling that there is a famine, it's going to hold on to it because it's going to say, I don't know what's coming next. All of our body knows is the amount of food that we put in it. It doesn't know that there's a grocery store right down the road that's like full of food and it's abundant. It doesn't know that. All it knows is like, I'm just taking your signals from what are you like putting into me. And if it's not enough, then oh no, there's a famine. This is dangerous. Like we need to make sure that we prioritize this fuel. So all the things that make us feel so good. get put on the back burner. And I would say with every season of life, we women go through a lot of changes, right? We get our period, then we're in our reproductive phase of life, then we're in perimenopause, then we're in menopause, and it does change. So what worked for you 10 years ago may not work for you anymore. So I do think it's important to make sure we are flexible and that we're not so rigid and like, but this is what I did and it's not working anymore. Yeah. Guess what? We have to change. Our body changes. We just got to
Yeah,
change with it.
very true.
So yeah, it's really really important. I think before we play around with meal timing, which I think a lot of people like to, they want to intermittent fast, they don't want to eat into lunch. I think it's really important to get down how much you're eating. And then once you perfect that, then we can move into shortening the meal timing and having like, eating 8 hours and fasting the rest. But a lot of times it's backwards. People just want to only eat a certain amount of time and then it's like whatever they can fit in there, they will. But again, you may not be fueling your body enough and your body absolutely gets used to the lower food. And so I always say there's usually like another level of health that like people don't realize. And so when you get there, you will look back to and you'll be like, wow, I thought maybe I was a little tired, but knowing the energy I have now, I was really tired. And so that's like the best, I don't know, best thing that I feel like I experience with patients is like them experiencing that and then realizing actually how bad they felt, even though they didn't feel too bad initially.
So maybe like would the first thing be for all of us listening is kind of to evaluate and see how much we're actually eating. Like what is
Yes.
our breakfast? What is our like the food throughout the day or the food before we have dinner? And then see is that actual enough fuel, enough calories that
Yes.
we need for our body? And then I guess depending on that, if we need to divide it up where it's like, this much for lunch, this much for breakfast or if you want to eat it all at the same time for lunch. But as long as we're getting that right fuel, if that, or,
Yeah.
does that make sense? Is that a
Yeah.
right way to kind of proceed?
Yeah. I mean, I very rarely see women thrive long term with like one meal. I do think that consistency does keep our blood sugar stable. It provides fuel throughout the day. I do know that some women that, yes, get there to where they're eating enough and they can have like a later breakfast and then like a lunch and then like a dinner. It's really important to prioritize like the protein, especially first thing in the morning. But I don't demonize really any macronutrient group. I also believe every macronutrient group has a play role. So should we be totally eliminating carbs? No. Should we be doing low fat? No. Like they all play a role. And so there's a lot of gray area and uniqueness to each person of like what are they going through? What are their goals? But like someone who would love to have a later breakfast and let's pretend that they do eat enough and they're like I just want to eat breakfast later. But if I see their cortisol going absolutely haywire, I would recommend against that. But if someone ate enough, that wasn't an issue, and they wanted to push their breakfast a little bit later and their cortisol was great, then I'm like, yeah, that's fine for you. So there is a lot of like nuance and like what's going on in your body, and then like what do we need to do to guide that to your body. So it's not always as like straightforward.
That's straightforward. Yeah, that makes great, really good information. I love that. So many of us, including myself, struggle. Well, there's burnout and brain fog, which is just,
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's just becoming worse. It's like I forget names, just simple names of people that I know. If I want to introduce somebody to somebody else, yesterday I had a doctor's appointment and was like, oh, well, they're asking me like the name of my other doctor. And I was like, let me look at my phone. I can't remember. But simple things like that, which is really scary. So, and then there's a frustrating energy crashes like we talked about that hit in the middle of the day. For me, it's like usually between 3 and 4 where I'm like, oh, should I make that second cup of coffee? Like, what's going on? Will I be able to survive the second half of the day? So, from your perspective, what are the most effective steps we can take to overcome and feel more energized and balanced? I know the food fuel is number one. What are some other ways that we can do that?
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely think that was like number one is I think a lot of energy and brain fog really do get solved when we're eating enough things and we're eating the right things for our body. Whole foods, like can we grow it, can we kill it? That's always like my thing is like if you look on your plate and you say, I can grow this, I can kill this, then typically that's you're on the right track of whole foods, right? So I would say that is hands down the biggest thing. The other thing that I would say is a lot of us are behind computer screens or in a building, and I think it's really important to make sure that we are getting outside and getting sunlight and just honestly taking a little quick break because that in and of itself can be really rejuvenating, honestly. So I think that's something that I don't know, realize we don't do because we're just like in work mode and then we're like, oh, it's almost dinner time. Wow, I haven't been outside for like 8 hours. That's
Yes.
a, that's gonna do amazing things for your energy. Staying hydrated throughout the day is another thing. And I think too, because we're so focused on energy throughout the day, we are like, what can we do like during the day? It really also falls on like, what are you doing at night? And like, how is your sleep and how is your sleep quality? Because that's ultimately going to determine your energy throughout the day. And I know we've all felt that when my sleep is not good. No matter what I do, I can eat enough, I can do all the things, but I am just not going to function. So
Right.
I definitely want to, preface like that sleep component of it and your nighttime routine is often going to determine how you're going to feel the next day in the daytime.
Very true. I think so too. Now, I wanted to ask this. This is the brain fog situation. I know it's become this whole like not a trend, but this whole thing about like, oh, it's a menopause thing, it's a perimenopause thing. Is that what it
Mm,
really is? Is it something that we kind of have to like, as women, we have to just accept and say, okay, like this is a stage I'm going through, or is it not really? And we're just kind of like believing in it so it's like happening more? Is there a way to like I hear like there's brain games that we have to play, or maybe there's just too much in our brain that
yeah.
the files are just exploding, so we need to like kind of empty. I don't know, like what can we do
Yeah.
about that? Or is it something we just have to accept and say, okay, it's like perimenopause and I'm
No.
gonna feel really stupid for like the next 10 years and that's
No,
okay?
I mean, no, no. I mean, yes, there are some hormonal influences, estrogen, progesterone. Yeah, that could definitely be influencing it. But I think a lot of the times when we want to blame age per se, I really think it's just bad habits that have occurred for decades at this point. And we want to blame that we're aging, but it's really just all those bad habits that just add up. And then boom, it's like when I hit 30, when I hit 40, when I hit 50, and we want to blame the age. It's not the age. I have patients who are healthier than my 20-year-olds and they're in their 60s. So by no means does like age mean like we're just going to decline. Some of my 20-year-olds are the ones that are struggling. And so brain fog can come from, like I said, hormones. They can come from blood sugar imbalances. So that's why when those really deep glucose swings, either really high and then hitting really low, that's going to create a lot of brain fog, which is why the importance of eating consistently can kind of help balance that out. There's also nutrient deficiencies as well. So I'm a big fan once a year testing all of our micronutrients because having certain nutrients depleted, it could be your B vitamins, it could be iron, it could be vitamin D, that can also contribute to brain fog. Of course, the sleep component. I know my brain, when I don't sleep well, yeah, I'm not the best speaker the next day. I like can't put together
I hear you.
sentences, and that's just simply from exactly like yeah, either lack of sleep or lack of quality of sleep. So there's so many reasons brain fog can happen, chronic stress, all that. So no, I definitely don't think it's just like, oh, it's an age thing and I have to suffer and it's got to be like that. No, but we do have to, the same with like hair loss. It's the same thing. We have to basically like do lab testing and start checking these things off of like, how's your gut health? How's your nutrient deficiencies? And then sooner or later, we'll kind of find that recipe for you of why brain fog is happening.
Exactly. That's great. Kind of like a process of elimination, figure out
Yes.
exactly what's going on. Okay. That's great to
Yes.
know. Thank you. So, hormones, the great H word,
Yes.
right, play a significant role in how we feel day to day. But most of us don't always know how to recognize when something is off, right? So, how can we start to identify the symptoms of hormonal imbalance? And can you also share why maintaining hormone balance is so important?
Yeah. I mean, if we want to feel good and look good, that's where our hormones come in. So that's why to me that's important because I'm in this life for longevity. I want to try to be a great grandmother. I think it's possible if my kids end up having kids younger. So I am trying to be like the great grandmother that's like, man, she's never gonna die, is she? Because I'm just gonna be like an Energizer bunny. That's like my goal, and that's where hormones are. We get there, right? Because they run every part of our show, and I think when we think hormones, we just think female hormones like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, but that's also cortisol, insulin's a hormone, melatonin's a hormone. There's lots of hormones in the body that play a different role for everything. But it really comes down to quality of life. That's really what it comes down to. The main signs of hormone imbalance that I see are, of course, period problems. So, periods that are heavier, periods that are irregular, periods that are painful, stubborn weight, fatigue, anxiety slash like the mood changes, brain fog, like what we talked about, fatigue, hair loss is a huge one, feeling puffy is another one. I would say those are my top ones that I see when it's like hormonal based. Skin stuff too, acne.
So being aware of those different things and saying, okay, I think, it's time for me to check it out and get a blood work and figure
Yeah,
out what's going on.
for sure.
It doesn't, because a lot of times I feel like women think that they need, it's a certain age, right? But
Yeah.
it's now they're saying that it can be anywhere from like your 30s to like 40s.
Gosh, yeah.
And it's not this thing that it's like, oh, you turn 50 and this is when you need
No,
to go get the blood work. So this is what I
no,
want
please
everyone to
don't.
be educated to start being aware of your body and listening to those, messages that the body is giving you and saying, okay, it's time for me to make a doctor's appointment and get some blood work done and see what's going on. And keep a journal too. Like I feel like that's another thing that's really important. Like, wait, am I feeling like this, right? When I have my, my period, or how long has it been since I have my period? Like be on top of those things that your body's
Yeah.
cycle is going through.
Yeah. And I would say the only thing I would add to that is insurance-based healthcare is very different from like a functional integrative healthcare perspective. So the blood work that a lot of the times you get through insurance is the most basic baseline of things. And a lot of women sometimes will leave not with any answers because anything insurance-based, they're looking to make a diagnosis. So anything that they're testing, they're aiming for a diagnosis. And then if you don't have something that's red, glaring of like really high or really low, they're just going to be like, you're normal. But they're through the integrative lens, we are looking at optimization. And so even if you aren't too high or too low, for you, it could be too high or too low. And we have a much narrow reference range. So if you fall outside of the optimal reference range, and that's not what's going to be seen through like insurance-based care, you can easily kind of be like passed off of, oh, it's all in your head or everything's fine. A lot of the times, either one, they aren't testing deeply enough, it's an insurance thing, or two, they're just not comparing it to optimal ranges. They are comparing it more to their basic reference ranges. So definitely partnering with someone that understands that to make sure that you are getting one, everything you need, and two, making sure that it is optimized.
That's a great point. You're very absolutely right, because with the insurance, they kind of just go through the protocol, and unless it's like something crazy or you have to push for it or beg them or request it, you're not going to get any
Yeah.
more, leverage
Yeah.
from it. So that's
Yeah.
great to know.
Yeah, full thyroid's a great example for that because in conventional care, they just test for TSH, which just stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. So it's the hormone that stimulates your thyroid to make hormone. Now, they rely on just that because they rely on the feedback loop that happens of like, well, if your body needs hormone, then that TSH is going to increase. But the feedback loop isn't always perfect. But when we ask for like a full thyroid panel that has like T4 and T3, those are like TSH is not your thyroid hormone levels. That's just your brain talking to your thyroid. T4 and T3 are actually thyroid hormones. And then we have to watch it also convert from inactive thyroid to free active thyroid hormone. And so sometimes that conversion isn't the best either. And so again, your TSH could be fine. Your even thyroid hormone could be fine. But if you're not converting it to a free form that we feel and our cells feel, you're going to feel hypothyroid even though you're not hypothyroid. So there's a lot of nuance to it, but there's way more to it than insurance-based labs for sure.
So do you recommend at some point, if you're having a lot of symptoms and you have been to the, receiving conventional care, that you should check and just, even if you're not going to continue with functional medicine, but do another set of blood work with a functional medicine
Yes.
group so that you have things to compare and figure out, what route you want to
Yes.
go.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you. I'm learning so much from you
Good.
today. I just did my thyroid test yesterday. I was like, oh, okay. So that means it's not going to tell me the actual, all that need to know. So
Yeah.
this is great. So many of us feel, I mean, I know you do too. I know you're busy, you're a mom, that their productivity and energy can just kind of be sipping away due to stress, right? Stress is huge for us because
Yeah.
we wear so many hats, we're doing so much. And then on top of that, we have the hormonal fluctuations that are, coming in depending on what age we are in life. What are some practical ways that we can kind of take back our productivity and our energy and really start feeling like ourselves again?
Oh, gosh, I feel like we covered so much of that list. And if I had to
I know sleep, fuel, right? Getting
sleep,
your
eat.
checkup.
And I guess one of the things that I would say that I haven't said is adding more fun into our day and
Okay.
actually taking rest and letting go of this idea that like rest is like not productive. Rest is actually some of the most productive things you can do because I know and yes, I have a lot on my plate. So I know that if I just keep going, keep going, keep going, and while yes, my to-do list may be shrinking, I either one, don't feel well and I'll feel more anxious after it because I haven't given my body rest, but I just feel like there's more creativity. I'm actually more productive in the time that I am working together when I do provide that rest for myself. So I think sometimes we make stress reduction so complicated of like, I need to do this, and I need to do this. When in reality, I think we also just need to have a little bit more fun, do the things we enjoy, and putting it into our calendar just like we would a doctor's appointment. We take that seriously. We wouldn't miss that, right? So why would you miss out on in the middle of the day, an hour of reading, just kind of escaping, and you will feel so much more refreshed going into the rest of the day. So that's how serious I take like the things that I enjoy. Like I'm putting that on my calendar. Like it is my to-do list. It is not a if I get to it, it's going to be I'm going to get to it and I'll work everything else around it.
Very insightful. So rest and joy for those of you listening, schedule that in your
Yeah.
in your calendar or put
Yeah.
it on your to-do list and actually get to it because those are really important. Now, what about gut, right? I mean, I hear you said too that health starts in the gut, but most people really don't know where to begin. Like, what are some practical steps we can take to improve our gut health and support our overall well-being?
Yeah, I would say kind of going back to the fuel because it's that important. Fueling enough because you are ultimately fueling your little microbes. That is, you're like an Airbnb host and you are providing food for them to thrive. And so if you're not doing that, you're really going to struggle with making enough, maintaining your probiotics, but then making enough short chain fatty acids and all these things that play a role in every aspect of our body. I know people always look for that like supplement that's going to help. And I don't even like just randomly giving probiotics. It's not going to hurt you per se, but could it be just like not something you need? Absolutely. So I feel like gut health can be complex in the way like I prefer testing your stool. What do you actually need? Like, I just want to know because most of our patients come to us and they're like, I'm done throwing something to the wall and seeing if it sticks or seeing if it helps. Like, what do I actually need? So, with our stool testing, you're able to see like your probiotic strains. Like, what probiotics do you actually need? Are you even taking one that like you maybe you don't need? I think that's really important to really understand what is your gut health doing. Test for like inflammation, test for how you digest foods. Like, do you need support there? Because I think some of the basic stuff of take a digestive enzyme, take a probiotic, eat real food, like, yeah, that's pretty basic, but everyone's different and not everyone needs that. Not everyone needs a digestive enzyme. Not everyone needs a probiotic, surprisingly. And most of the time, if you're having to rely on probiotics, that actually is a red flag for me because I'm like, why are you not getting it through your natural diet? Two, what are you doing in your diet and lifestyle that's not sustaining natural probiotic growth? Why do we always have to do a probiotic? So I like to cycle in and out, but your body shouldn't be having to rely on them all the time. So, food first for sure. Stress reduction is absolutely another one because when we are stressed, it lowers our immune system and then it can allow things to overgrow in our gut. So, we are going to be more susceptible to falling prey to a parasite or having yeast overgrowth or having bacterial imbalance. So, stress plays a really big role there too. If anything, it's probably one of the biggest triggers.
Of course. And it's great to know that because, there's a lot of trends that go out there. You see TikTok, Instagram. It's like, especially with the supplements, I feel
Oh,
like.
cholesterol is one that
Yes,
hit a
and
big
I just
high.
it's like I just think that everyone should learn to really educate themselves, not fall for these trends, and then really know that everybody's different, like you're saying.
Yes.
Talk to a professional and instead of just ordering things online and saying, well, this is a new thing. Because there's been events that I'll go to and everyone's talking about some supplement or something they're doing, and I'm just like, wait, I'm supposed to be taking that? Really? You're taking that? Wait, what is that? And half of the time, if I ask them like, how is that helpful? Nobody even knows. It's just because this is what you're supposed to be doing and everyone's
Yes.
panicking, right?
And not all supplements will you feel externally, but yes, it can be a waste of time or money. A lot of the things that are out
Cholesterol,
there,
is that something that we should be this whole thing? Should we be taking this?
I like to take it if I'm sick, right? So there's certain, I think, seasons where I'll ramp that up, but I don't take it every day. I just haven't needed it, but I also test my immune system in stool testing too. So I know if my body needs it or not. I definitely don't think it's one of those that are like, oh, everyone should take. No, I don't think so. Very rarely is there a supplement that I actually would say that. I don't even
Okay.
know if I know of a supplement I would actually say that for because everyone is really different. And a lot of the things too that go around social media, magnesium's one of them. Like everyone is magnesium deficient. Girl, I have maybe seen a couple. I do a lot of micronutrient testing, and magnesium is actually not one of the common deficiencies I've seen. So it's all those things too that we like hear out and about, and you're like, oh, this must be true, so I must do it. And
Yes.
no, I actually don't see that issue often. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's all about education, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The other thing I wanted to touch on, because this is another one that's been popular, is the different types of saunas right now, right?
yeah.
So we have the traditional dry sauna and then the infrared saunas. From your perspective, what are the benefits? Like, which is better, and is it really like helping you with your skin, with your immunity, or
Yeah, I do love a good sauna. We're in the midst of right now of opening our first in-person clinic here in Austin, and sauna is definitely going to be in there. So I do love it. It is one of the modalities that does have a lot of research behind. The difference between like a dry traditional sauna and an infrared sauna is that infrared is going to heat the body directly, not necessarily the air, versus the dry sauna heats the air first and then your body is heated up. And I personally definitely see a difference because I feel like I'm more sensitive to like heat. So I can't really withstand heat for a long time. I just feel unwell. But in an infrared sauna, it does not bother me at all. And I can be in high temperatures actually for quite some time and not be bothered. So I definitely see a difference. And if that's the difference of me like sweating and sauning, then yeah, I would absolutely choose infrared sauna. My husband can do probably either or. It doesn't matter for him. But I do think that the infrared sauna penetrates a little bit deeper. It's again really great for people that do better or that struggle with heat. So they tend to do better in infrared saunas. But all in all, the whole point of saunas is that it's supporting detoxification pathways. Sweating, pooping, and peeing are our three detox pathways. So obviously, as we're in the sauna and we're opening up those pathways, that's where these things are going to help detox like heavy metals and environmental toxins. And there are studies that show that. And it also helps with circulation and our blood flowing and oxygen flowing. So I do love a good sauna. I really do.
me too. It's so relaxing, and you really feel like you're cleansing, everything, just
Yes.
everything sweating off. The other thing that I would like to learn more about is the whole lymphatic drainage, right? Because that's another one that's really popular. So if you can explain to my listeners today what it actually is and how we can benefit from it.
Yeah. So lymphatic drainage is just moving your lymph fluid through the channels of your lymph system. The goal of your lymphatic system is to collect waste and cellular debris and toxins and immune cells and transport them out of the body to be excreted. So when we're doing lymph drainage, we're helping move that fluid through touch and movement because the lymphatic system does not have a pump. So our blood vessels, we have the heart. The heart is the pump and it helps move things. The lymphatic system does not have a pump. So it relies on our movement. So even going on a walk, you're moving that lymphatic. So
Mhm.
if you're more sedentary, you're not moving, we tend to have more of a backup in the lymph system, and that's where we may feel a little bit more puffy. So when you're doing getting like lymphatic drainage massages, that's the whole point is that they are physically helping move the fluid. Obviously, I mentioned massage, I mentioned movement in general, but trying to think what
If
else.
you're someone that's like, like you do, for example, you do yoga, you walk, you're very active, is that something you really need to do? Or is not, or like, is this for someone who's not as active as they should be?
I would say if you're a pretty active person, you are definitely moving your lymph pretty regularly. Now, I do, and it wouldn't be a need. Like you don't need to get like a lymphatic drainage massage. Now, I do like it because you do it's one of those sort of immediate ch changes. And so like I know like going into and I'm pretty like active and I try to walk 10,000 steps a day and I usually do like a strength training or Pilates, but I do have my rest days too. But I even will still see like after doing a lymphatic massage, like, whoa, I'm a little bit more snatched. And
Okay.
so sometimes I'll prioritize that if I'm like, I don't know, speaking and I want that little bit of extra help and fluid movement. So I wouldn't say it's a need per se, but I would say it's a nice like want, if you want to do it, if you enjoy doing it, it is a great like relaxation in combination. You're moving your fluid and you're relaxing. I mean, how can you say no to that?
Very good. I have to try it out. Now I'm just curious.
Oh, you should definitely try it out because it's definitely one of those things that you're like, did that really just happen? And definitely take pictures before because you may not see it just, if you wake up, even though sometimes I definitely will just sit up and be like, wow, that was incredible. I love lymphatic massage, but the pictures are really cool. So you definitely got to try it.
Okay, great, great. So my last question for you, I think we can just, this has been such a great conversation, like we can talk forever and just learn from you. But I know you see this too, but a lot of women are gaslighted, from their symptoms. They're told that it's in their head. They go to the doctor's office, they're given a prescription, or it's kind of like, oh, it's just your age, just deal with it, like don't worry about it. So why do you think this is happening in the medical world? And what advice do you have for us to be our own advocate for our health and recognize their messages that our body is giving to us so that we can say, no, I don't think it's in my head, or I don't want, I'm not depressed. I don't need another prescription.
Yeah.
I want to solve and I'm curious about what's going on.
Yeah, I love that. I think I touched on that a little bit with trying to explain like insurance-based care and functional and integrative care. Again, a lot of the times they're doing the bare minimum testing. So oftentimes, a lot of those women that, and actually that's the majority of our women that come to see us, they've really seen a lot of practitioners in the conventional side, special people in specialty or just a general practitioner. And the testing that we do, we find it. We're like, yep, I can definitely see this because we just test differently. So I think it just comes down to finding someone that's going to dig with you. And if you aren't getting a ton of results or like your answers, you probably just need to try a different modality or a different type of person. And even if you find success and you have a relief of symptoms in conventional and it's maybe from a medication, a lot of the times it's still not solving the root cause, right? So if by chance you're really bloated, you get diagnosed with IBS, they give you medication, it has helped, your bloating's decreased. I want you to ask yourself though, like, but why? And if I stop this med, would this come back? That's how you know you just got a band-aid, and happy that you got some solution for the short term, but there often needs to be some more in-depth work that you're going to find in just a different modality. And also just being, oh gosh, I would say just being open to not only different modalities, but really the deep dives. Because a lot of the times when we're working with patients and we get in there, we're changing what's on their plate. We're helping them with their stress levels. We're getting them having the right movement, right? So you also could swear like, I'm running, I'm doing everything, but maybe you shouldn't run. Maybe you should just do strength training. Maybe running is actually what's hurting you. So it's being open to different changes because I always say, don't come to me and say like, or be really stuck on, I really want to keep doing this because what you're doing is obviously not working. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's just not going to work that way. But also just being open to like even deep work. I see so many women that are honestly stuck and they have a lot of past trauma that they need to work through. And so sometimes that's a modality that we need to understand. So just be open-minded, go out there, explore. If you're not feeling well, something's not well. And whether that is coming from something physically happening or that's coming from like a past trauma, I love the book The Body Keeps the Score because it does. There is obviously something that's off, and we just got to figure out what that is. But we have to make sure that we are really assessing your human body with all these things in mind. How is the past trauma? How is your gut health? How are your hormones? How is your blood sugar? How is your cortisol? That's really where you're going to find that you're a big puzzle, and that's where you're really gonna find all those little puzzle pieces come together.
Great, great, great advice. It's really funny because my show is really about breaking free from expectations and stepping into your authentic
Hmm.
self, right?
I love
And so
that.
often I think we don't realize that low energy, stress, hormone imbalances hold us back from fully embracing who we
Yes.
are. So many of us just feel drained out, disconnected, stuck in cycles of fatigue and self-doubt without realizing that it's our physical health we need to figure out is really a powerful key to confidence and self-empowerment.
Yeah.
So in today's episode, we have learned so much. We've unpacked how to prioritize our well-being through nourishing foods, intentional habits, sustainable lifestyle shifts so we can fuel our authentic selves, pursue our ambitious goals, and rise as our most confident, empowered selves. We've learned so much, and my hope is that every listener begins to truly listen to their body above anything else, because that's where real transformation begins. Dr. Lahana, thank you so much for being on Female Fluence and just sharing all your insightful wisdom and giving us all the ways that we can learn to better ourselves.
I love
I
that.
really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we end this episode?
No, gosh, I know we covered so much, and sometimes it's like so much information, but I love the big takeaway of just listening to your body and never giving up and finding the people in your healthcare team to help kind of guide you through that is like so important. And what you do is really incredible. So I appreciate the work that you do as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate what you're doing. I really suggest that the listeners listen to this episode carefully and probably re-listen, take notes, and I will have Dr. Lahana's links in my show notes. So then you can go on her website, check her out. If you're in Texas, you're lucky enough to go visit her. So thank you again. Thank you for spending this time with me here on Female Fluence, where we rise, reflect, and remember who we are. If something from today's episode spoke to you, share it with another woman who's ready to rise too. And before you go, download your free empowerment coaching guide at femalefluence.com. It's your next step toward living with more clarity and confidence. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at pearlmashure_femalefluence. And if you're ready for deeper support, sign up for a free discovery call. I would love to connect with you. Remember, my friends, don't just exist. Live your life fully, bravely, and in truth. I'm Pearl Mashure, and until next time, stay true, stay powerful, and stay you.